First of all, let me start by saying, if more people adopt eating this way, it's going to drastically improve human health, the environment, and of course the situation for the innocent animals. I will remain vegan, an ethical vegan, until my dying day, because there is no downside, there's no limit to the things that we can and want to do in life as a result of eating this way. Therefore, it seems like the simple, moral, obligatory choice. Most people would not grab a knife and slit an innocent animal's throat. It does happen. That's how many of them are killed around the world. And the reason most people don't do it is because it would be a horrific experience. Most people would not want to do it, myself included. Paying other people to do it makes you hypocritical. I was a hypocrite. You probably are a hypocrite too. It's a hard one to face. It's something that I face, and I hope more people do face it and go, okay, yeah, there is actually a part of the story that's missing when they go from happy farm animals over here to a piece of flesh in the supermarket. This part of the story is missing. That's where all the horrific, gruesome stuff goes on. That's when the animals are going through torture. Imagine being pushed along the slaughterhouse line. You can't get out because you can't climb. You can't do anything because all the other animals are heading in the same direction. You can't go back because you can't turn around. Many people have had pets, companion animals, dogs and cats, and you probably have some kind of relationship with them, to the point where you wouldn't want to hurt them. You wouldn't want other people to hurt them, and that's a fair enough request. And you definitely wouldn't want to slit that animal's throat, and that's a good thing. But the thing is, we can, and we don't, apply the same consistency to other farm animals, livestock, whatever you want to term them. They're innocent, breathing beings, capable of receiving the same love. These pets, these companion animals, live in the house with the other family members, and that is how it probably should be. But there is a stark contrast to where these other ones live, how they are confined and mistreated, I would say. We wouldn't want our pets in that situation of being where the livestock are, being where the farmed animals are. Anyone watching this who's getting frustrated with the things I'm saying, it's not me and my message saying it, it's you and your conscience. To have compassion, I reckon, is a natural human function. When you see an animal or a person in distress, chances are you're going to go and help them. So why not a farm animal? Why not a pig, a cow, a chicken, a fish? Let's say, hypothetically, I owned a farm and I had pigs, and I decided to grab a camera, grab a knife, and then just go and stab one to death. People would go crazy, and maybe rightfully so, but then what's the difference for the other billions that get slightly less cuts but also die a very similar death for food? They don't need to, and there'd be outrage for the first scenario that I painted, but not the second, the one that occurs 24/7 around the world in different countries in different ways. Gas chambers, knives, bolt guns. It all ain't pretty. There's a reason that most of it is hidden away. They don't want you to see it. If it was a nice thing for people to watch, then they would invite you for tours. They would say, come and see how we do it. Hey, maybe you can even take a turn too. Maybe you can hold the knife. No, that doesn't happen. Ask yourself why that doesn't happen, because it is horrific. There'll be links to videos in the description that you can go and watch and see it for your own eyes in different countries in different ways. Like I said, at the end of the day, it is just a method of killing. There is no humane or better one. How can you do something humanely to another being that doesn't want it to happen to them? If you could picture your loved one, a family member, let's say your spouse, in the position of an animal in the kill box, awaiting a bolt gun to the head, then a slash across the throat, how could you do that humanely? There is no way to do that humanely. This is only part the way through the video, and it is completely unnecessary to eat meat, dairy and eggs in 2025. I've been on both sides of life. I used to be a meat eater for 20 plus years until I learnt what goes on. I knew no better, I was ignorant. I hope videos like this help more people realize what it is that goes on. There are two things that are going to change the situation for these animals, livestock, farm animals. The unfortunate ones is probably the best term. Our attitude, you can change your attitude tomorrow. You can go, all right, I love cats and dogs, but I'm actually gonna apply that love to these animals over here too. The other way to do it is with your money that you spend stuff on. When you go to the supermarket, you can choose to actively not purchase and fund these horrific industries. You can say, look, I'm actually going to reduce my meat down to once a week, or perhaps even one day, no times a week, like I've done. Industry and business is very simple. If there is enough demand for a product, then the business is going to continue running. But if people withdraw their money, their support for these businesses, then they're going to fail and collapse. Alright, I'm going to speak about health now and the amazing benefits to humanity if more people change. Heart disease, it's the #1 human killer. The #1 cause of death yearly, and it can be reversed by eating exclusively plant food. Gorging on meat, eating it 3 times a day, being a rich, affluent Westerner, is making people fat and fucking sick. The only stats that these countries are winning at is being the most obese, and it's not from this food, it's from eating the animal products. How do I know this? Because many of the common chronic diseases, one I mentioned, heart disease, and many others that ail humans drastically, can be reversed by eating more of this and stripping out the animal products. Heart disease and its subcategories, autoimmune conditions, even the most severe, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, type 2 diabetes, skin conditions, asthma, the list goes on. There are so many things which can be fixed, reversed, cured, whatever you want to label it, by stripping out the animal products. So I wear this proudly around airports, public places, and I get some dirty looks. I've never had anyone ever say anything bad as a result of wearing this, but when I do get those dirty looks, I address their body. And many of them, I would say the majority, have a big gut or are obese. And I think they're probably not vegan. Why are they giving me a dirty look? Because I can still see my abs. I'm 35 years old. And it's because of what I eat. If I kept eating meat, dairy and eggs as a young 20-year-old, chances are I wouldn't be able to see my abs right now. I have zero shame wearing this because I feel incredible almost all the time. I've done ultramarathons and so much other crazy stuff that most people are like, oh my gosh. And I literally help people to reverse disease, of which the doctors say is incurable. I know deep down too, most people do care about animals. Most people have compassion about what goes on to animals, especially innocent ones that are defenseless. And what it's going to take is more people to give a shit and say, you know what? That message is resonating with me. I do actually kind of side more with that, with the caring about defenseless animals rather than being a supposed heartless killer that just slashes and gashes animals because I can or because I want to, whatever the lame, invalid excuses. Hence me on here speaking up about it so passionately, and I will keep doing so because of how you are able to live, how it makes you feel. You get to eat so much because your body identifies this with actual food, uses it as fuel, and actually makes you feel good with digestion, energy output, and so many other benefits in life. A quick little story time related to this very specific part of being vegan. I know someone close to me who does a job where they drive sick people from their houses to the hospital for treatments, of which they don't get spoken to about the root cause. There is no help or potential reversal to their condition because they just get treated. If they actually got spoken to about lifestyle and diet, then their conditions may actually be reversible. Unfortunately, for the most part, the medical industry establishment ignores the fact that the body is self-healing. Taxes, revenue, support goes to hospitals, doctors, nurses to treat these people instead of actually going, hey, you know what? I heard that your condition is actually reversible. Let's speak seriously about your diet and lifestyle and hopefully get you to the stage where we no longer have to see you again. We no longer have to treat you again. We can actually go, here you go, do these things, keep doing it, and your body will heal. Therefore, we don't need to keep seeing you for the next however long, for the rest of their life. That's a sad situation. Being told by one of these professionals that your condition is going to only be manageable and that you're going to be on medication for the rest of your life, that's a sad time. Whereas if they spoke to more people and said, hey, let's change what you eat, let's try and get you off this medication, and let's try and get you fixed, there is a very good chance that you know somebody who has had one of these conditions or currently has one of these conditions. Ask them and say, did the doctor, he or she, ever speak to you about diet and lifestyle? Did they ever speak to you about the root cause? Do they actually know why that person is in that situation? I'll touch on it. It has to do with the stuff that we're eating. This is natural. Stuff from a packet with all these chemicals is not natural. Your body tolerates this and wants this, whereas the other stuff I've just mentioned, no. When we overload it too much for too long, it has a threshold where it goes, all right, we can tolerate what's coming in, we don't like it, we can rid ourselves of it. But when we overstep that, that's when problems occur, symptoms start, disease occurs, and it gets worse and worse, often to the point of death. But it doesn't need to be this way. To wrap up the health part of this video, if you or a loved one is suffering, then do leave a comment and let me know where you're at. Alright, the next part, the environment. The classic argument is, oh, you're eating all the food that the animals are going to eat. If you care about the plants so much, then you'd stop eating the animals, because so many animals around the world are fed grains. I was born in little New Zealand. If you don't know where it is, then go and check it on a map. It's a beautiful place, but then the majority of the rivers and waterways are unswimmable as a result of dairy. The damage that that industry has done on that country is very, very sad. Then there's also the felling of natural bush that has made the space in order for all these animals to graze. Do you actually think that all these paddocks just existed, bare land where animals can just roam? No. So much of it was destroyed so that people could graze animals on it. And that also is very inefficient. The water usage and the land usage in order to raise animals to a large size and then slaughter them, it's not a good way of producing food, if you can even call it that. Whereas, if we grow this stuff, you can condense it down onto a very small part of the land and you can grow it intensively. Then maybe more people could actually have a backyard or more space for their kids and family to run around. That would be a better thing for all of humanity. Ocean plastic, where do you think the majority of that comes from? From fishing nets and other discarded things from ships that just shouldn't be there in the first place. I don't go fishing, haven't been fishing in well over 12 plus years, and don't contribute to that being a problem because I don't support those industries, I don't go fishing, I don't leave discarded plastic in the ocean, and I hope you don't too. Then there's also the populations of animals, humans, livestock on this earth, and the amount of wild animals. There's not that many because their space, their home, their habitat has been shrunken right down for grazing, for other livestock to take their place. Wild animals have been pushed out of where it was natural for them so that humans can inefficiently graze these animals, raise these animals to slaughter. It's sad that this has happened, but if more people choose to actively not support these industries, then hey, maybe in time, if enough people actually actively stop paying for the destruction, then these wild animals can actually flourish again, maybe have a resurgence where their natural habitat can come back. I hope so. And if that is the case, which I'm pretty sure it is, most people want this place to do well, Earth, where they can take their family and friends, loved ones to these places and see wild animals, not zoos, and actually be able to see them just doing their thing. Regardless of whether you adopt this label, most people can agree that doing the least harm possible on this earth is probably the best option. And that's what this is. I eat the majority of this stuff, which is just plucked off a tree, moved, and then purchased by me, eaten by me. And other foods that I eat commonly are things like starches, sweet potato, which are just dug out of the ground. Again, maybe there is some harm there. I'm not saying I'm perfect, never did. The thing is, we can eat this way, thrive, feel fantastic, have amazing energy, go and do all sorts of crazy endurance feats, get strong as, and not pay for animals to go to their unnecessary death. Doesn't that just make sense? This stuff is cheap too. When you eat it as a meal, when you buy it in bulk, these were $1. These were $2 a kilo. It's cheap. It's cheap. If you care about any of the stuff I've just mentioned in this video, then please try being vegan. If you care about animals, please go vegan. If you care about your health, please go vegan. If you care about the environment, please go vegan. In a couple of weeks, it's going to be 11 and a half years since I made that change. It was scary when I did it, and I didn't really have any other support other than one person. I didn't really know what I was doing. I had to learn it along the way, but now the resources are plentiful. There are so many people who live this way, love it, living this way, and will continue to keep living this way for the rest of their lives, like I've just spoken about. And I hope you do too, because after living 20 years of eating it that way, then going, actually, I feel way better over here eating this other stuff, that's what you can have for yourself too. I'm not selling you anything, I'm not telling you to do it, I'm just giving you information and hoping that you can compute these questions, these messages and go, actually, maybe that makes sense. Or yes, I align more so with caring, compassion, wanting to do better for Earth. And at the end of the day, this stuff, I could just rip it open with my hands, bite into it, enjoy it. Whereas crafting a metal knife, going and butchering an animal, then having to cook it, season it, make it actually taste good, which one's more natural? If you wouldn't eat the animal flesh, the meat, cold, bloody, raw, on the animal while it's still intact, with the fur, with the skin, ask yourself, should I really be eating this? If you have enjoyed this video or learned something new, please give it a like, consider subscribing, leave a comment where you're at. If you are new to this, you're finding it tough and you need some help, I coach people to live and thrive eating this way. So do get in touch. Details are in the description if you want to get in contact. Thanks for watching. Make food a meal. I'll see you in the next one.